As negotiations with Native American tribes drag on, Interior Secretary Salazar says he will step in and make the final call on Cape Wind next month. The energy industry gathers in Washington. Clean Skies News talks to the president of NRG Energy about what the nuclear industry wants to see from policy. And another global warming claim by the IPCC comes under scrutiny.
From the Energy News Center in Washington, D.C., this is the Energy Report with Susan McGinnis.
Good afternoon, I'm Susan McGinnis. Thanks for joining us for the Energy Report. It's time to act on Cape Wind, says Interior Secretary Ken Salazar, with or without an agreement on historic preservation. That was the message today in a statement from the Department of the Interior on the stalled wind project in federal waters off of Nantucket Sound. Salazar said he will step in to make a final decision next month, even as negotiations with Indian tribes failed to produce an agreement. Salazar said, quote, "The time has come to bring the reviews and analysis of the Cape Wind project to a conclusion. It is clear to me," he says, "the consulting parties are not able to bridge their divides and reach agreement on actions to minimize and mitigate the Cape Wind project's effects on historic and cultural resources." Developer Jim Gordon's $2.6 billion proposal calls for 130 turbines on a 25-mile stretch of federal waters between Cape Cod, Nantucket, and Martha's Vineyard. Native American tribes in the area say the turbines would interfere with religious ceremonies that call for an unobstructed view of the sunrise. Right now, hundreds from the energy industry are here in Washington gathering for this year's Energy Business Leadership Forum. Among the headliners, PSE&G's Chairman Ralph Izzo. During his keynote address today, Izzo talked about the policy needs for utilities, including a cap-and-trade system for carbon emissions and a renewable electricity standard. Also on hand, NRG Energy President David Crane, who talked to Clean Skies News about the policy needs of the nuclear industry.
If we're going to have a true nuclear renaissance, I mean, obviously we have the nuclear provisions under the Energy Policy Act of 2005, and they provide some loan guarantee money, which is critical, expanding that. But I also think the federal government needs to get into siting of new nuclear plants, because otherwise I think we'll be here for decades. Also I think a clean energy standard. I mean, if we're going to be very serious about zero carbon emissions, we should treat nuclear in the same way we treat solar and wind, and have a very robust federal clean energy standard.
Well, here on cleanskies.com, you can see Tyler Suter's entire interview with David Crane, including a discussion of NRG's expectations for the federal loan guarantee program. One more claim by the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is coming into question. It's one regarding more frequent hurricanes due to global warming. This latest research from the U.S. National Hurricane Center, just published in Nature Geoscience, is suggesting the rise in the number of hurricanes since 1995 was part of a natural cycle. The IPCC claims global warming, contributed to by man, is responsible for an increase in powerful storms over the past 4 decades. The new report says several previous increases have been recorded, each followed by a decline. The study showed the most likely impact of global warming will be to decrease the frequency of tropical storms by up to 34% over the next 90 years. The study suggests that when tropical storms do occur, they could get slightly stronger, with average wind speeds rising as much as 11% over the same period. The IPCC has faced recent scrutiny over admitted mistakes within its reports and has announced the creation of an independent review panel to monitor its procedures. Energy is on the agenda as Russian President Dmitry Medvedev visits France. This visit is expected to expand on energy contracts firmed up by Prime Minister Vladimir Putin's France trip last November. In a joint statement before Medvedev's arrival, French natural gas company GDF Suez and Russia's Gazprom said they had signed a memorandum of understanding giving GDF a 9% stake in the Nord Stream natural gas pipeline. The two companies have also begun talks on a deal for Gazprom to supply GDF with up to an additional 1.5 billion cubic meters of natural gas per year from 2015. The Tennessee Valley Authority will consider using fuel made from weapons-grade plutonium to power 2 of its plants. The National Nuclear Security Administration said in a statement today an interagency agreement was signed with TVA to evaluate the use of mixed oxide fuel made from U.S. surplus weapons at its Sequoia plant near Chattanooga and its Browns Ferry plant in Alabama. The utility said the reuse would help the government dispose of surplus weapons materials and could supply low-cost nuclear fuel. U.S. utilities have been using fuel made from warhead uranium for years, material from decommissioned bombs in both the U.S. and Russia, but they have not yet routinely used plutonium, the other major nuclear bomb leftover. Duke Energy tested some plutonium-based fuel in the last 3 years, but decided in November not to use more after running into what it called operational problems. Let's take a look now at some energy goings-on around the Beltway tomorrow. 9 a.m., ARPA-E starts its Energy Innovation Summit program at the Gaylord Convention Center, focusing on supporting America's breakthrough energy innovators. Clean Skies News will have more from that event. 2:30 p.m., House Minority Leader John Boehner and other top Republicans have a press conference about introducing a resolution of disapproval on EPA's endangerment finding. Clean Skies News will be there. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, World Affairs Council presents a special briefing on climate change at the Charles Summer School in D.C. That's the Energy Report. We'll see you again tomorrow with your latest energy news. For any suggestions or comments about our program, you can email us at contact@cleanskies.com or also on Twitter and Facebook. From all of us here in the Energy News Center, good night.